Are you ready to take your organization to the next level and become a game changer in your industry? Then look no further. Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, where we bring you the world's top business thought leaders to share their secrets to success, from leadership development to finance, marketing, self-development, human resource management, and much, much more. Our guests reveal the strategies, tactics, and mindsets that have made them so successful. So let's dive in and learn from the best in the business. Hello, and welcome to another great episode. And thank you so much for joining me. I know there's a lot of activities happening in our community right now for you to spare another time to be here with me. So I truly appreciate that. And I'm excited about today because today we're going to be talking about the step-by-step roadmap. How would you like to know what is coming? What is the roadmap ahead? You know, some of the things that we struggle with as entrepreneurs, there is no need for us to struggle with that if we just know somebody who's been there, who's done that, who has come up with a solution. And the reason we bring amazing guests like our guest here today is we want to help you avoid those pitfalls that many entrepreneurs are going through, because you're going to find out exactly what you need to do now so that you don't fall in the traps. So get excited. And, if you have your journal out, I'll be excited for you because you're going to dignify your discoveries today. Now, before we bring our guests here to talk about the step-by-step roadmap ahead, I encourage you on two things. One, if you are not yet a member of our community, you want to do that right now because you are missing out a great deal, because we've got great conversation happening in there. A lot of people are being helped as we speak today. And number two, if you are still looking to get started with your podcast, we've got great training we put together. If you want to know how to scale your podcast or even to monetize your podcast, we've got that covered as well. And also, if you want to know anything about leadership, our good friend Trevor Stockwell, my business partner, is in the community helping people right there. And you can just inquire about his leadership programs and you will be great. You'll be in great hands in there as well. Well, enough of that. So grateful that our guest is here with us. There you have it. Now, for those who haven't come across your work today and are curious what this is all about, could you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of your background, your education, and experience in this area? Maybe you can cover some of your formal education there, and maybe you could talk about some of the clients you've helped, the results you've gotten for them, and that is the experience. And of course, talk about your success journey. Has it been overnight? Or have you worked very hard?
So I started my career over 20 years ago. I first started working in advertising for Saatchi & Saatchi in London. That was my very first job in my career. And I came to that having done a degree in advertising and marketing. That was my first degree at uni. And then I did continuing education throughout my time with Saatchi's. I was there for over 5 years, and I was lucky enough to work on some, incredible brands like Visa. I worked on a lot of Procter & Gamble brands as well. And then I went on to other agencies like McCann Erickson and other global marketing companies. And I was lucky enough to work on brands like L'Oreal and McDonald's, Canon, LG, a lot of the Reckitt Benckiser and Nestle brands. So I've pretty much worked on every global brand you could probably name in my original kind of more corporate career. And I also continued, training. I have diplomas in sales promotion and various other things that I've done throughout that time. And as I worked through my career, I worked in what we call client service. Directly managing the client accounts, working with with the different clients to create their marketing, their advertising. And then over the years, I moved into strategic planning and also agency management as well in the latter part of my career with agencies. I then went on 8 years ago now to start my own business. And so when I started my own business, then I was working with small businesses, and I've continued to work with small and medium-sized businesses ever since. During that time, I've had some really great experience. I was a business advisor and a marketing coach for the government here in Australia provides free, business advice for businesses. And I was able to work for that service and provide really good advice and support to businesses. And also particularly even during COVID, I was still able to lend a hand to that service. And I'm also a mentor for, I've done a lot of training and events, but I'm a mentor for Dale Beaumont's Business Blueprint program here in this region of the world and in Australia and New Zealand. And I do about 4 conferences a year for them, and I present seminars on a whole range of topics in marketing. And I mentor his platinum members, and I've been involved with that for many, many years now. So a whole range of experience across corporate and small business. And, in terms of the actual types of marketing that I've done, as I said, I started in advertising, but I was then lucky enough to get a really broad range of experience. So I started quite early on when digital marketing really wasn't, very much in existence. It was only just starting. I was getting experience in websites and, digital advertising, banner ads, and then also in promotional marketing, sales promotion, and point of sale marketing or shopper marketing, as it's called. So I've been really lucky to get a really broad experience across all facets of marketing throughout my career.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. Now, when it comes to these steps, in your opinion, based on what you've experienced and the help you've given to other business owners, what is the very first steps that people like me, business owners, entrepreneurs, need to take in this area to speed the whole process of getting to the goal and without losing their mind, without a lot of stress or even losing family time? What is that very first step that we need to take? Maybe explore why this step is important and the best way to take these steps. Maybe it could be very helpful to do that. And maybe finally, are there any tools around this area that make the whole taking of the steps much, much easier? And if people are stuck, what is it that they can do to get unstuck?
So getting clear on this target is really important. And it's even more important in today's digital marketing world because we have the ability with digital marketing channels to really target people in quite a focused manner. So if you're using platforms like Meta or Google to advertise to people, you need to be really specific about who you want to narrow your audience down to so you can find the right people, because you don't want to waste your advertising dollars marketing to people who are never going to be interested in what you sell. So you need to work out who's interested in what you sell, who's likely to be interested, or who can you get interested. And that comes back to, identifying what would inspire them. What do they need to be educated on? What is it that they don't know that your product or service, that they need to know about your product or service in order to engage with it? So these are really important steps. And, this can be something that you do initially when you start a business. It's something you should revisit periodically throughout your business as it grows and changes, and as indeed society grows and changes, as things that are happening in the world change. I mean, pre-COVID world versus now, it's completely different. And even the during COVID world, how you might have serviced your clients or your customers, whatever you call them for your business, during that period, pre during and post COVID is totally different, or may have been. So you have to revisit these things. You can't just set your target audience on day one of your business and then that's it for the next 20 years. So you have to keep revisiting this. And it's a really important first step that you need to understand before you can engage with any marketing company to help you with your marketing. You need to be able to explain what it is that you do and why it's important in the world. So the first step that business owners really need to take is they need to understand exactly who their target audience are. So you need to get really clear about what problem it is that you're solving. So whether you're a product business or a services business, whatever you are selling needs to solve a problem for people. It needs to make their life or their business better. And you need to understand how it does that so that you can communicate that in your marketing. And importantly, if you understand what problem you're solving, then you can try to understand who it is that's likely to want that problem solved in their world. So a really good way to do this is, if you're just starting out in particular, you probably don't have any clients or customers at this point. So you're sort of starting from zero, and you need to really just sit down and brainstorm with yourself. Why did I come up with this product? Or why did I decide this was the service that I was going to offer? What is it that I saw in the world that was a problem that needed to be solved? And once you're able to do that, you can kind of take it from there and just sort of mind map out what do you think the we talk about a lot about pain points in marketing. We don't necessarily mean physical pain, but what is it that's causing people a problem in their life? Is it, is something inconvenient to them? Is it inefficient? Is it costing them money? Is it wasting their time? Is it, something that they just need to add into their life or into their business to, help them advance further with self-development or with their health or with their finances? So really think about what it is that's causing the problem, and what that problem is. Think about what the pain points are. And then importantly, think about what solutions are they actually using now? Because often people, any of us, just in life, if you think about when you don't have a perfect solution for something, you find an imperfect one. You put something else in place. So it's like the person that doesn't have, they've just moved into a new house and they don't have their curtains put up yet. So what they do is they just put a piece of cardboard up at the window to stop the light shining in their eyes. It's an imperfect solution, but it does a job. But obviously, if you're selling curtains or you're a person who puts curtains up, then, it would be ideal for you to be able to serve that person's problem by going into their house and putting up some curtains for them. And then they would have a perfect solution. Now, some problems that people have where they find an imperfect solution, they're kind of okay with. It's not really urgent for them to fix it. They're like, yeah, well, it would be nice to have the curtains, but I don't really care that much. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not a priority for me. And so often with marketing, what we are trying to do is elicit that priority. We're trying to get people to say, oh, wow, this was really now a priority for me. And we have to therefore sort of educate them or inspire them, depending on the nature of what you're selling, to think again about their imperfect solution and get them to realize that it really isn't great. And that as a result, perhaps their quality of life or, something else, perhaps their way of experiencing their day is just kind of inconvenienced, or, they're not having a great experience because of the fact that they've got this imperfect solution. So really think about who are you targeting? Why is that? Why is what you're selling important to them? And what will it do for them? What's going to be better as a result of them buying your product or service? Now, a lot of this comes into really business planning as well. It's not only marketing, but it's actually determining for your business, what are you there to do? And if you're further on in your business than that kind of initial startup stage, it's always good to still go back and revisit this question periodically, because as your business evolves, your message evolves. And, if you might be selling the same products or the same service that you sold for 10 years, but the way in which you sell them or how you package it up or how you price it or how you sell it or the additional services or products you've added to your range and to your solution are going to have changed. And so you want to be able to You want to be able to add to that. And you want to be able to add, therefore, to your messaging, or indeed change your messaging so that it really meets the needs of your audience as they will be at the point that you grow your business. Because our clients, our customers change with us. They grow with us. So the people you work with at the beginning of a business, when you start a business, is not going to be the same type of person that you work with when you've been running your business for 10 years. You're going to work with different calibers of client. It might be that if you work with businesses, it might be you're going to work with bigger businesses or more complex businesses. Or if you work with people, you're going to work with people at different levels of their self-development or levels of their capability in whatever it is that you're selling or doing.
Awesome. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We covered, let me speak to Bill for a moment. Bill, what you've just had there really simplified approach. If you can just pick that one up and apply it today, truly, I believe that it could change your game. So let's go straight and talk about the second step that business owners need to do. Again, the same format, really go deep into it so that people will understand what needs to happen. And the tools, maybe the website or the apps that can make this step easier, and how long it takes to take this particular step. I think if we understand these things, we will be able to comfortably take the right step. And for those in the audience that may find this difficult or very stuck, what is it that they can actually do today to get themselves out of this entanglement and begin to move confidently and in the right direction of where they want to go?
Once you are really clear on your target and you're really clear on the problems that you're solving and why it is perhaps that people aren't buying from you now because, they need to be educated or they need inspiration, they need to kind of be told something to help them realize that they need what you're selling, then you really need to decide how you're going to approach your marketing. Now, if you're an early stage business, you're only just getting going, then you're most likely going to be engaging with DIY marketing, what we call DIY marketing. So you're going to do the marketing yourself in your business, and you're going to need to learn about a little bit more about marketing. You're going to need to learn about different potential marketing channels and activities that you can use that would be suitable for your business. And you're going to need to create a marketing strategy. If you're further on in your business and your business has done quite well, you've grown to a certain extent, and you're finding that you're now at the point where you are feeling like every day you're the marketing manager, like you're actually just really fed up of being a marketing manager because actually it's not your background, it's not your expertise, it's not what you do, you don't have training and qualification and experience in it. You've just sort of, as most business owners, learned it as you've gone along because you've had to. You've been the DIY marketeer for a number of years, and you're now at the point where you say, okay, enough of this, because I actually need to be spending my time running the business. I need to be working on the business, not in the business. So when you're kind of at that stage, then you need to make a choice about how you want to resource your marketing. Because rather than going ahead yourself, as you might have done in previous years, and as those in a startup phase might do, or early phase of their business might do, and creating a marketing plan yourself, you would be at a point where you need a professional to create a marketing strategy for you. And so you want to actually determine how are we going to resource our marketing before we go any further. And even those businesses where perhaps the budget isn't, you haven't got a huge budget at this point, you are still in the fairly early stages financially, but you actually really, I've worked with business owners in the past where they just say, I don't really have the money, but I also don't have a clue how to do marketing. And it's not really my thing. And I feel like I'm really bad at it. So they will make a choice that they are going to engage somebody externally to help them with marketing. So the second sort of thing to do is really determine, how will you resource it? Will you do it yourself if you're that early stage and you think you can learn and you're willing to put the time and the effort in to learn? Will you bring somebody in or engage somebody to do it? And will that person be an employee or a contractor? Will they sit inside or outside of your business? Or are you actually at the point in your business where you need a marketing department? And that, department's a big word. A department can be one person, two people, as well as 20 people. And you therefore want to look at, do we actually employ people, which is a huge, huge expense and a huge responsibility? Or do we bring in an outsourced marketing team and actually get them to run with our marketing, create our strategy, and implement our marketing on an ongoing basis so that we can actually get back to running our business, which is really the job that you need to do as a CEO or director and MD of your business at the point when you're at growth. So that's a decision that all businesses need to make, is how are you going to resource your marketing? One of the things that I actually looked at when I was completing my master's in digital marketing a few years ago was I actually did a piece of research so I could understand what the relationship was between business owners and marketing providers, we called them. So people who provide marketing services to businesses. And so, that research was undertaken whereby I interviewed business owners, and then I also interviewed marketing providers. And then we kind of looked at where the connection was, and also, most importantly, where the disconnect was. So what I found is that there were really 4 areas that needed to be managed on both sides in order for there to be a successful relationship between the two sides, between the business owner and the marketing provider. And those 4 areas were what I talk about in my book, The Care Factor Fix, How to Finally Get Results from Marketing. And those 4 factors are care. Care stands for commitment, accountability, realism, and engagement. And what we found was that, in terms of deciding how you're going to resource your marketing, businesses really need to think about those 4 areas. Are they going to be, and can they commit to an annual budget? Are they at that stage where, it's just your marketing is just part of it's a line item in your annual budget? Yes, we're going to spend, this amount on marketing. Or are you just sort of doing it ad hoc? Because if you're not prepared to commit to an annual budget, if you're not ready to see marketing as a long-term ongoing thing, as opposed to let's just try a little bit of marketing and see if it works, which is often, how people feel when they're first delving into marketing, then there's really no purpose in you engaging external expertise. You should just do your marketing yourself at that point. And then with accountability, how accountable are you going to be for the sales component in your business? So understanding the difference between marketing and sales is really, really important. And I think that it's something that's often misunderstood by business owners, that they think that they're going to outsource to a marketing company, or even not even a full service marketing agency, but just one person who does their social media or organic posting, for example, and then that person will automatically solve all the problems in their business with regards to sales. So that's not going to happen. You have to understand that marketing is about leading the horse to water, and sales is making it drink. So you have to have a sales process in place. You have to be accountable for ensuring that you are nurturing leads, that you are talking to people, that you are following up with customer service as appropriate to your business, and that you have a sales process in place, and be accountable for the results alongside the person that you're going to work with who has marketing expertise. Because ultimately you're responsible for your business and its success and its growth, not an external a provider that, especially when you're probably not paying them a huge amount versus the total revenues that are coming into your business. And then, realism is an area where often small business owners they kind of fall short, because you have this expectation about things being able to be done quickly and results coming in the next day. So, there's sort of an expectation that you will engage a marketing consultant and the very next day you'll automatically get a bunch of sales. And that's not how marketing works. And this is one of the biggest misunderstandings that people have about marketing. We are there to create a presence of your business and drive predominantly traffic to your website. That's one main measure of digital marketing. And in doing that, you create a groundswell that over time, people start to familiarize themselves with your brand, with the name of your business, with what you do. And then at the point at which they actually want to purchase something that you offer, they actually have the problem that you solve, that's the point at which they come in and purchase from you, because they've actually heard of you, they've seen you before, and they've got familiar with your brand. And the challenge that small businesses have is they don't really have time to invest and spend the money on the awareness of their business because they're desperate to get sales through the door. And often that can be really counterproductive to them having a good relationship with the marketing function in their business. So you need to be realistic that things take time either to physically produce or they take time to have results. And if you're thinking about something like your Google ranking of your website, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time for your website to increase its ranking with Google, even with the absolute best SEO, search engine optimization expert in the world. It's still going to take some time. So you need to be realistic about that, and also about budget. We've had clients in the past and they're like, oh, we've got 20 grand. Can you, put a team of 30 people against this sort of thing? They're totally unrealistic about what their budget's going to get them. And the quality or the standard or the amount, volume of marketing or activities or number of ads we're going to create. So you need to be realistic. And so that's about really getting clear on what's going to be the right solution with you. If you feel like you want a lot of things done, but you haven't really got much budget, you're probably not going to be able to get that with an external provider. So it's probably a better idea to do that yourself. And then, the final area is engagement. You can't expect to sort of wipe your hands clean of marketing. So if you feel like you are not going to be able to have a leadership role with the marketing consultants or marketing company that you're going to bring into your business, then you're probably not ready to have an external company work with you. So you want to make sure that you can engage with them as appropriate. So leave them to do their thing, the thing that they do best in their area of expertise, but actually be able to bring your engagement to the bits that matter. And that might be things like, how can we provide better content from our business, from our products, whether it's imagery or videography that is needed to provide content for things like social media, or how can we be involved in that process? Or are you going to be the front of your business, in which case are you going to be filming videos all the time and giving that to your team to work with? Or do you want them to do a shoot with you and create those videos? So engagement in the process, you can't expect to just have a marketing agency do your marketing and you not have to be involved, particularly if you have a services business, because people want to see who they're going to be working with and they want to talk to those people. So you have to be part of the solution as well.
Outstanding. I have to confess, I'm finding this whole conversation rejuvenating, and I'm so grateful for you to share these wonderful thoughts. Let's move on to perhaps our last step, our third step in this conversation. I know we will be able to explore more in the community, but what is the third step that business owners need to take in this area, and what's the best way for them to take this step? And how to do it, really. How do you actually go about doing that? If we can go a bit much into detail of doing that, that'll be amazing. Also cover some of the tools, if there's any tools out there that are helping people. And what are some of the secrets that may help individuals like me and business owners like Bill and Mary in the community be able to take this step confidently and begin to move straight forward to their goals.
So once you're clear about your target audience, the problem you solve, why you are, why your business exists in the world, what it's going to do for people, and you've decided how to actually resource your marketing, the next step is really to be clear about your budget. So, marketing people will talk to you about putting a marketing plan or a marketing strategy together, and that's going to be an important next step. But I always look at what the budget is before that, because when we create a marketing strategy, we are thinking about the best way to communicate your offer to your target audience. And part of a strategy is creating, what we might call a channel plan, which is what are the types of activities, the number of channels, number of marketing channels, or the types of activities we're going to be doing that create your overall marketing mix. And so in order for us to do that, we need to be kind of clear about what your budget is, because there's no point coming up with a channel plan that's got 30 different channels, 30 different touch points that are going to really perfectly meet your target audience if you haven't got anywhere near enough budget to deliver on those. So if you've got a very small budget, then you might only be able to hit your target audience in one really focused channel. And then you might say, okay, well, the strategy is going to be, we're just going to go all in on this one channel because that's actually what works for our budget. And it's actually, the channel we feel we can get the best results from. It's the closest, for our target audience. Or if you have more budget, then you'd be looking at a multi-touch point strategy, which is really the ideal certainly in the digital world these days, because the purchase cycle, the way people make a decision from not knowing about a product to purchasing a product and repurchasing a product, that whole cycle really it used to be a very linear thing. It was like step 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it became kind of cyclical because, as marketeers, we recognize that once someone purchased once, they would have an experience of your brand. And then they would, if that was a good experience, they would not only purchase again, but tell other people to purchase. And therefore that would drive back into people becoming aware of your product. So it became a cyclical a process. But now it's not even that anymore. It's there's sort of a cyclical process there, but then that's overlaid with these really kind of sporadic, crazy lines that go all over the place because of the way that we consume media in this day and age. So you can decide that you're going to focus, your channel is going to be Instagram. You're going to focus everything on Instagram because that's where you've decided your target audience are very active on Instagram, and your product's very visual, so it's going to work really well on that channel, and you focus all your energy and efforts and marketing dollars to that because you haven't got enough to focus in the other areas. But the reality of that is, if your competitor is also focusing on multiple other channels, they say, oh, well, same thing, it's very visual, so we're going to be on TikTok and we're going to be on Pinterest as well. They're going to get a lot more coverage or what we call reach than you are. And, you're not really going to be able to compete. So, you do need to really think about your budget, because that's going to affect how much marketing you can realistically implement. And then that's going to affect ultimately your results. So when you think about your budget, we advise a bit, and it's sort of there are different schools of thoughts on this. You can have a look online, but essentially people, I think the general consensus is sort of, for small business anyways, between sort of 7 to 10% of your revenue is your marketing budget, should be your marketing budget. Now, people will say to me, well, hang on a minute, is it 7 or is it 10? Well, 7 is kind of a minimum. 10 is like if you really want to push it a bit more because perhaps you're trying to grow a bit faster and you really want to go for it, and you've got some cash saved up, sort of thing. So you decide you want to invest, because you're always going to have a portion of marketing dollars that are an investment that will not return immediately. They will return over years, over time. And that's mostly things where you're going to be building your brand. And brand awareness is something that takes many, many years to really build up to, to a point where people actually recognize your brand. So essentially, when you think about your budget percentage, again, some of the other anomalies around the 7 to 10% rule is that people say, well, we have our business has a high amount of pass-through costs. We have a lot of cost of sales or disbursements. So, does that mean, when you say revenue, do you mean the turnover, or do you mean the revenue after those disbursements have gone out? So you can look at it however you want for your business, and you ultimately have to look at your cash flow anyway and what's there. We have in our business, because we build outsourced marketing teams, and we use different specialists who are all external contractors to deliver those services for our clients. We have a high level in our business of cost of sales, disbursements, whatever you want to refer to them as, or pass-through costs, some people call them. But we have a high level of those, but we still base our own marketing budget on 10% of our total revenue, so our turnover essentially as a company. So it's up to you how you want to do that, how you want to calculate that. Maybe speak to an accountant about that and look at your numbers. But essentially, you want to allocate 7 to 10% of your revenue, however you want to determine what the word revenue means for your business. And that's a really important thing for you to do, and do that before you start building a strategy. Because again, there's no point building a strategy if, a big we can always build a strategy with loads and loads of ideas and loads of different channels and say, well, this will work and this will work and this will work. And together as a total mix of strategies, they would work better as, usually would work better as, the more the merrier, as it were. But if you haven't got the budget for that, there's no point as building a strategy and including all of those things in. So we need to know the budget before we start working on the strategy.
Wow. I could go on for another good hour here wanting to learn this, because I'm finding this very useful, and I will be listening to this over and over and over again, because the information we are getting here, Bill, is one that is truly poised to change what is happening in our world in this area. But before we conclude here, are there any other juicy tips, tricks, and secrets at this point in this area that you hope and want everybody to know about? And again, go in as deep as you would want, because I'm finding the whole conversation, the way you are structuring it, very, very user-friendly and very easy to follow. And for that, I'm very grateful. So again, are there any juicy tips, tricks, and secrets at this point that you want our business owners to know?
I think one of the biggest things that is important to find a balance with is between understanding that marketing is not sales. Marketing is there to, as I think I mentioned earlier, to drive the horse to water. Digital marketing has the ability now to also make the horse drink. So it's particularly if you're, for example, an e-commerce business, that's the whole game, right? You're putting ads out that ultimately are going to result in purchases, or should do. So there is this crossover between marketing and sales, particularly because of digital marketing. And of course, strictly speaking, advertising, or at least traditionally, advertising was just really only about creating brand awareness. But now that we have digital advertising, there is the ability to send someone obviously directly to a website and directly to a purchase, or some other form of action that brings them into your business. So that's an important thing to understand, is that that where is that line between marketing, between advertising your product, promoting it and getting presence of it, versus getting people to actually purchase. But the important thing to understand about that is that there is, you'll hear every person out there, gurus and all this, talking about funnels. I'm sure you're, as a business owner, you're bombarded, like I am, with ads all day long on your Facebook or Instagram, talking about funnels and, have you got your funnel? Really what they're talking about there is they're talking about the purchase cycle. They're talking about the way in which people purchase products and services. And, essentially we don't it's like, if you think about in the real world, taking it off digital for a second, you think about going to, let's say, a networking event. So you go along to the networking event and you're meeting a room of people for the first time. You don't go up to those people and say, oh, hi, I'm Stevie, and here's my product. This is what I sell, and would you like to buy it? Because people would just be like, what? It's too much. You just wouldn't do it, right? You go up to somebody, you say, oh, hi, I'm Stevie. What's your name? How are you? What brings you to this event? Tell me a bit about yourself. And you get to know somebody. You learn about them. You learn about maybe their business as well. And you really just build a relationship. And this is the same thing where, there's a lot of very sort of in your face, if you like, marketing tactics being used in this world today, and they're being used by people who don't have any background or experience actually in marketing. And what they're doing is they've maybe tried it for their business. It seemed to work for them. So then they've rolled it out as kind of a service and said, oh, I know how you can use ads to get you purchases. But the disappointment is going to come for businesses where it really just doesn't work for your business. So what I want everyone to be understanding of and really think about is what is the actual cycle and the length of the purchase cycle for your product or service. So if you are there's a lot of services out there in particular where the life cycle between someone thinking they might need a solution to actually purchasing, that could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, it could be 2 years. I have people that come up to me and work with me at seminars where, I'm training them on marketing, I'm mentoring them on marketing for their business, and they'll come and talk to me and they'll talk about all the problems they're having with their business and from a marketing standpoint, and, the challenges they're having, and they don't have any budget for marketing and all these things. And then literally 3 years later, they'll come back to the seminar and they'll be, we've got all these problems, and they'll tell me all the same problems all over again. So basically they've been in pain for 3 years and they've done nothing about it. And yet if they'd actually taken action on their marketing, they would have got a result by now, but they've wasted those 3 years essentially. And that's when they then go, I think we'll work with you now, should have done that before, should have done it sooner. And so, for me, it can take, for our business, putting an outsourced marketing team in function into your business is a big decision. So it can take a really long time for people to make that decision, and they need a lot of support along the way. They need to feel really confident that we as a business know what we're talking about. They need to feel they can work with people. So with services business in particular, people want to know they can work with you. They're not just going to buy a product from you and never see you. They're actually going to be talking to you. They might have to have meetings with you. Perhaps they have to see you regularly. So they, really think about that, because they're not going to buy straight away because they don't even know you. So you need to build a relationship with these people. And then the other aspect of that is if you're a product business, is your product like an impulse purchase? Because if it's something that can be sold as an impulse purchase, then, go for it with all of those tactics that you see on your newsfeed. Here's the funnel. Here's how to make it happen. They will work for impulse purchase businesses for sure, because you're basically just getting somebody on the basis of, there's a level of scarcity of this product. You must act now. Everybody else in your country is buying this product right now. It's going to be, this offer's only going to stand till midnight. There's 1 hour to go. All those kinds of tactics that create a sense of urgency and scarcity are fantastic for products or even services to a degree, but usually products that are impulse purchase. So it's like, must have that now, don't want to miss out. That fear of missing out is kind of built into the marketing strategy and the messaging. And that's great. So if you're that kind of if you have that kind of business, then those sorts of tactics should work for your business. But if you're a services business, or if you sell a product that's a really high value, like a high ticket item, then those things are going to work, probably not going to work for you, or certainly work less well. So really think about what it is that the steps are going to be for a person who's going to buy from you. And you can do that by thinking about your previous clients. What did they, what experience did they go through? And if you're just starting out, you don't really have any previous clients, then think about what it could be, what you imagine it might be. So put yourself in their shoes. And that's really important when you're determining your target audience is that empathy. Put yourself in their shoes. What are they experiencing? What's happening from their end of the spectrum? And then try to really understand, what steps are they likely to take, and what will be their barriers along the way, what will make them not move forward with you. So really map that out. And I think, when you do that, that's actually then your funnel essentially. So you might find that funnel is not the regular funnel that everybody talks about, put up an ad, click a link, go to a website, purchase a product or sign up for a service. People won't do that if you're going out to them cold and it's a higher ticket purchase, or it's got just more, they need to do more thinking about it for whatever reason. They need to, maybe consider it in line with other things that are happening in their life or their business. They need to maybe, really think about the investment. They need to understand more about the investment. They need to know what their return's going to be. They need to know a time frame. There might be other information they need to know. So really think about that. And then you can build things like FAQ pages that really answer all those questions you've identified. You can also build email nurture sequences where, you get them to sign up, and you can give them, just instead of advertising your full service and product, just advertise a lead magnet, advertise something that's free, that's going to engage them, that's going to answer at least part of the problem they're having, or start to get them to think about it. So that's the inspiration, the education that I talked about earlier, and really put that in front of them instead of trying to get them to take a massive leap. So, think about it a little bit like dating. It's like, what happens on the first date versus, the period of time, over the period of time in a relationship before you're actually going to propose to somebody. Don't propose to them the first time that you reach out to them on Facebook, for example. So, make sure that you are setting your tone and your timing according to the journey that you believe your target are going to go on. There are so many tools, so many websites, so much information. I mean, you can find it right in front of you. It's in your news feed, on your social media. It's as soon as you go onto Google. There is so much information about marketing, and actually to the detriment of the industry, because it's really hard for people who are not in our industry to actually know what to trust and what not to trust. So there's a lot of information out there. And I think one of the challenges about it is that you just need to take some of it with a pinch of salt. You need to really look at it and say, is this going to be relevant for my type of business? Because very often, particularly the people who put out really generic stuff that they will sort of say, it's kind of like, this worked for me, so it can work for you too. It works for any business. I mean, that's not really true. So, they'll tell you it works for any business, but in reality, businesses are, unique, or at least types of businesses are unique, and they need different things. And again, it comes back to who's your target audience and what does your target audience really need? Because, otherwise you're just, it's just sort of, there's not a one size fits all. So I think, there's lots of helpful tools out there. There's lots of free templates for marketing plans. There's all sorts of things. I have written a book called The Care Factor Fix, how to finally get results from marketing. And that book is a really useful resource for any businesses that are at the stage, that I talked about earlier, where you feel like you're a marketing manager the entire time. You just feel like my whole day, I feel like I'm just fixing up marketing. And you might have even engaged some external marketing providers already, and they might be delivering different areas of specialism for you. But typically what happens is people actually, and this is usually what happens when we get, people come to us to work with us and we're discussing working with them, we sort of say, well, what's happening now? And they'll typically say something along the lines of, it just feels like I'm in the middle and I'm trying to pull all these people together to get all this stuff done, and nothing marries up and none of them are talking to each other because I'm the person that's kind of engaged them all individually. And so there's no cohesion in what we're doing, and there's no collaboration, and none of it really kind of makes any sense. It's not consistent. And I'm fed up of being the business owner in the middle that spends my whole day trying to organize it all. So essentially, if that's you, then have a look at the book, because it can really help you to clarify that model that I talked about, the care, accountability, realism, and engagement, and determine whether you're ready to really engage a marketing company or marketing agencies are often called, to help you manage all of your marketing in a more cohesive manner than what you might have in place for right now. I also have a free quiz online that you can go to actually determine your marketing scorecard and where you might be on the marketing journey. And you can just go to quiz.thechangestarter.com and you can access that free quiz. And it'll really help you think about the different aspects of marketing and where you might be going wrong. If you're finding frustration with marketing, as a lot of people do, if you feel like it's not working, if you're not clear whether what you're doing is working, whether you're getting results, that's a real area of understanding and learning that business owners need to develop in terms of what is the role of marketing in your business. So you can grab a free quiz to find that out.
Beautifully said. You know what? When it comes to these things, I've discovered that mindset do play a major role in getting people over the mark. And in your opinion, as an expert and having helped hundreds of people, what is the perfect mindset, or what is the right mindset that we business owners needs to have or should have in order to guarantee, to a certain degree, success for this? And maybe stated differently, what is the right mindset to help us thrive in this area?
The perfect mindset, I think, for us, when we work with clients, the perfect mindset that we are looking for in our clients is a team of people who are really committed to a partnership and a journey with marketing. Marketing is not a one-time thing, and often this is the perception. So business owners will say, oh, I'll give that a go, and then, if it doesn't work, I'll try something else straight away. And when they say they'll give it a go, what they mean is they're going to do it once. So they'll do something like they'll buy a print ad in a local magazine, and then they'll, I've heard people come to me and say, so I did this ad and, it didn't work. And I said, well, hang on a minute. When you say you did the ad, what do you mean? You did one ad? And usually that's the answer. Yeah, I did one ad. I could only afford one ad. So essentially what they're doing is they've run an ad for, say, a month in a magazine. If it's in a printed magazine, then it's going to be, say, a month. Of course, magazines have a longer shelf life than a month, but generally it's a month's issue. So they've run it, for one of the issues of the magazine. And then they'll say it didn't work. I say, well, hang on a minute. What does it didn't work mean? Let's understand what that means. And the answer will always be, I didn't get any sales. And going back to, what I talked about, the funnel and the purchase cycle, you cannot expect to get sales from running one ad in one magazine issue and then to people who've never heard of your business and then just expect there to be sales. Now, obviously, again, it depends what type of business or service you're selling. And if it is an impulse type of product, then you may get sales from it. But you would want to still be doing continuously advertising the product. You can't just advertise it for 1 month and then that's it. And I get the same thing, I'm just using print as an example, but I get the same thing with, we ran an ad on Facebook, for 2 weeks and it didn't work. I was like, well, hang on, what does it mean? What does it mean it didn't work? Oh, we didn't get any sales. Okay, well, hang on, you just skipped a whole bunch of steps there. So we actually need to go through that and say, well, what was it about it, what was it intending to do, and what was it about the steps that people needed to take that might have stop them from taking the next step. So where did they fall out, basically? And we need to look at it and say, well, first of all, did you get, was the budget enough to get enough people to have seen your ad that when you look at a percentage conversion of like 1 to 2%, that you would have, was that enough people to get that conversion? So did you spend enough? Was it on for long enough with that spend to get that reach? And get to enough people? Did those people then engage with your ad? Did they actually spend time with your ad? Did they actually play the video on your ad? How long did they engage with that video for? Did they get through to the end of it or not? Did they actually click your ad? Or did they click your page, for example? Because that could tell you something too. Like if people didn't click the ad, but a lot of them clicked your page, well, maybe that's because they want to find out more information about your brand and your business before they click an ad. They might, if the ad was specifically selling something, maybe they just want to find out more about you. And that tells you an insight that you can use in future campaigns. So you've really got to look at the stages and then, okay, well, no, actually, lots of people saw it. We definitely spent enough budget. We got enough people. We got all these people watching the video and all these people clicked the ad. But then they just didn't buy anything. So, well, where did you send them from the ad? What was the landing page that they came to on your website? And, what were they being asked to do there? Was it clear? Was the page well structured? Did it match up to the ad so people understood that it was a continuation of the ad, and what did you expect from them? So really looking at those expectations, this is also relevant to your mindset. What is your expectation of the marketing that you're doing? And do you understand the marketing that you're doing? So really, the perfect mindset is to have that commitment to continuous marketing activity, because that's actually how marketing works. You need to always be marketing your brand. You can't just be like, oh, just market today because we want some new customers, and then tomorrow we won't bother anymore. So you need to always be marketing. So have you got a commitment to that? People that are like, yeah, we're committed to that, and therefore we actually are committed to building a long-term partnership with our marketing providers, because that's what's going to get us the best results if we have a good relationship and we keep working with them over a continued period of time. So that's the first thing. The second is accountability. So what are we doing in our business? From, for example, the sales side, the business development side, the customer service side. So if you go off marketing team and you get us inquiries and interest in web traffic and leads, well, what are we going to do with those people once you've put them into our care? Do we actually have a system in place to do this? So we need to have a mindset of partnership and a mindset of accountability, that the problems in your business are not only solved by marketing, they're solved by other parts of your business as well. It all needs to work together. So operationally, financially, customer service, product development, all of these things have to work. Sales have to all work hand in hand as one team. And then, realism. Are you realistic about what you're asking people to do for the budget that you have available? Are you realistic about how long it might take for them to do that? Are you realistic about how long it's going to take for results to come through? And then finally, being engaged. Are you prepared to engage with the process, or are you in such a state of flux with your day-to-day because you're so busy? And we get this as business owners. We're all so busy because we're wearing so many hats. But are you at a point where you can really engage with your marketing function? Or are you just going to kind of have a burst of energy one day, put it out there and say, right, I want to get somebody to do X, Y, and Z for my marketing, and then just kind of not give them responses, totally ignore them, not be able to engage with them, not be able to get things done? What stage of engagement can you provide? So commitment, accountability, realism, and engagement, if those aspects are there, then you can absolutely get success with your marketing function. You have to be open to have a willingness to learn how marketing really, truly works, and know that it is a long-term, ongoing and continuous activity that all businesses need to do when they really want to grow. Look at any major brand, any global brand that's out there. They have a marketing department. They have global marketing departments. They have global marketing agencies that they work with for year after year after year, and they never, ever stop marketing their brand. And if they did, even with their huge brand awareness, they would eventually see that overall there would be a drop in sales, because as much as marketing is not sales, it is related to sales, and it does ultimately create a groundswell of awareness and support for your brand that will drive sales at the end of the day.
Awesome. This truly has been great. Is there anything I haven't asked you about getting started in this area that you wish, when you got started, that those who are ahead of you had shared with you?
Well, look, I think that one of the things that I probably want to say to particularly business owners who are just getting started, because I've been there, I've built my companies from scratch, and it's hard yards. So marketing is a really imperative part of being able to grow your business. Everyone has different approaches and different strategies to it, and what's right for someone else might not be right for you. I think it can be very frustrating and very difficult as a business owner in the early stages of your business, because you don't necessarily have the money to afford professional marketeers to help you market your brand. And that can be challenging because it sort of feels like you're banging your head against the wall, because you keep going to all these events and seminars and, see all this stuff online that tells you marketing is really important. And then at the same time, you're thinking, oh, I don't really understand marketing, and this is really challenging to me. And, I don't really know how to put it out there. And even for me, as someone who was obviously a marketeer, even I found it really challenging to do my own marketing when I started my business and to try and put things out there. And I didn't always get it right. And it's always hard to do your own marketing when you're a marketeer. No marketeer can do their own marketing. I always struggle. But I think, it does feel sometimes like you're banging your head against a brick wall, because often there's a lot of effort. And I think social media in particular is one of those channels where, all of the social media platforms will tell you, oh, it's so easy to promote your business for free. And that's just nonsense, to be honest, because it's not really free. I mean, we do social media for our clients, and, our clients spend a considerable amount of money with us every year just to keep their pages running, and to have that inconvenience of, having to think of something to put on social, and having to create the assets, and having to post and schedule and answer queries and messages and comments, just to have that inconvenience removed from their to-do list. We're doing that for them, and it's costing them money to do that. And of course, there is a benefit to it in terms of presence of your brand. And people go to social media also sometimes to check credibility of brands, but it's not the be all and end all. And it's also not something that every brand needs to do. But every business owner I speak to has this definite perception that they must do social media in order for their business to be successful. And it's not really the case. It certainly has got merits and benefits to it. But the idea that it's free is really nonsense, because even if you do it yourself, the effort that you need to put in to do it, you could spend your whole week doing it, basically. So I would say, if you feel frustrated by things like that, if you feel that it's taking you a long time, look at other ways that you can build your business, at least in the initial stages. So, think about your personal profile, getting yourself out there. Can you join a local networking group? Are you good at speaking? Are you good at training? Are you able to talk about your area of expertise? Can you run seminars? Can you, at someone else's event, piggybacking off their audience is a really good way to get yourself out there and promote your business. These are activities that are much better bang for buck for you than actually sitting and, spending your time trying to come up with ideas for articles or coming up with ideas for social media posts. So this is really just if you're in the early stages and you feel frustrated, because I know a lot of business owners do. And they're like, but I can't afford a marketing agency. I can't afford to do this. I don't really know how to do that. Just get yourself out there and build your brand. Particularly, this is more so for a services business. If you're selling products, then you do need to invest, and generally you'll need to invest in advertising. But it is, of course, possible to build a brand organically on social media, but you need to put a lot of time and effort into it, and you need to be very creative to be able to do that. More so, these platforms are pay to play, I should say. So they want you to pay, and then, you can get more of their audience in exchange for you paying. So it does become expensive if you're just starting out. So just keep going, keep doing it. You'll get there eventually, and try to, I guess, look for ways that work for you, and don't subscribe to this idea that you absolutely must do social media in order to succeed with your business, because it's actually not really true. And, as I say, we do it for our clients. They are established businesses, and they want to leverage off an audience and a community that they've already built. So it makes a lot of sense that we would do it for them. And it is a way of getting their brand out there and building presence. But they've got a team of us to do that for them. So it's much easier. If you're trying to do it yourself, it can become really difficult for you, and really frustrating. So don't feel like you have to do it, because you don't.
Outstanding. Truly outstanding. Thank you so much for a great conversation, great interview. This has been very insightful, very informative, and really quite engaging. And thank you. And I never want to finish a great conversation like this without giving you an opportunity to share with our audience how you can be in touch with them, or how they can be in touch with you. For I know for a fact that there are many people wants to carry on learning from you, or even get into partnership with you based on our conversation here today. So could you tell us a little bit about your website or your social media handles so that we can connect with you?
So our website, thechangestarter.com, you can go there and there's a few things that you can get that are kind of freebies on there. So I mentioned earlier the quiz. So if you go to our website homepage, you'll see there's a button at the top for take the quiz. Or if you're on mobile, I think you can find that in our menu. Or you can just go to quiz.thechangestarter.com to get there directly. The other thing you can do on the site is on our it will pop up with an email list. So we've got an email list with a email nurture series about how to build a marketing strategy. So it's like a mini training course, and it's a series of, I think, about 12 emails that you'll get that'll take you through the steps to really go deep on that. And that's something that we talked a little bit about in this interview. So I talked about, your target audience and thinking about the purchase cycle, and there's a bit more to that. And I think there's like a kind of canvas that you can download that you can use to sort of map out your marketing plan. So that should be helpful to particularly those DIY businesses. There's a blog on there with some articles all about marketing, of course. There's also you'll see a video on there from me that tells you about what we do and how we help businesses with their marketing. There's a lot of FAQs on there, which are really useful to anybody to understand more about bringing a marketing service into your business. And finally, there's you can get a link to my book on there as well. It's just right there on the homepage. And finally, you can book a free consult with me. So if you're actually looking to build an outsourced marketing team and you're at that point where your business is established, you've committed your budget, and probably I would advise go through our quiz first, and we'll get your details from that anyway. But essentially, if you did want to book a consult, then there's a free consult form there as well. So lots of things to play with on our website.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been quite informative conversation, quite engaging, inspiring, and all that is in between. So we are so grateful for our time that we've had together. Now, if you're not yet a member of our community, can I ask you to join that? Because we are going to carry on these conversations in there. So if you have a follow-up question, you may want to ask it in there. Our guests will be able to answer you there over the next few weeks, months, or even years to come. And you also have access to our great community who will be able to help you with the subject that we've been talking about today. So click the link below if you are not yet a member. If you are already a member, go back and reignite your passion, rather, and start the conversation again. Look, we created this to ensure that nobody is left behind. And I know when you are part of the community, you are not going to be left behind. So, well, thank you so much for great share, great information, and truly appreciate you very, very much for being so generous with your knowledge. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly, truly yet to come. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to Yeukai Business Show. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode and have gained valuable insights and inspiration from our amazing guest. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review to help us spread the word. Also, be sure to check out our Leadership Ultimate Success Mastermind program, which is designed to help you and leaders in our community to do great things and support each other along their leadership journey. Until next time, live well, live with passion, know that the best is truly yet to come.